Welcome to What's the Effie?
What the Effie?
Hi everyone, welcome to What the Effie. And all I can say is, what the? All right, things sometimes happen, especially when you're on live. So I would like to share that Jon is on his way. Unfortunately, his speaker died and he had to run home to get his laptop. So I feel for Jon because the pressure's high when you're doing live and you want to, you want to present well and you're trying to do your best and you want to make sure that you're adding value to the people who are watching. And then your speakers die. So I do feel badly for him, but I'm very chill, as you should be. And when he gets here, no comments about it other than we're happy to see you. So tell us about all the networking you've been doing. Oh, yes, I have been doing a lot of networking. Hello, Melissa. Yes, I think in part because I jumped out of a plane, in part because of what the Effie. I don't know. I don't really get it. But a lot of people have been reaching out to me, and I have been networking as much as possible because you don't know who you're going to meet. I am still looking for an integrator to complement me because I am not a systems person as much as I am a visionary. So, you never know who you're going to meet. I met a great person today and I had to cut it short. I was like, I'm sorry, I have a podcast I have to go to. But it's always fun when you're meeting people. So I am going to the Deal Maker Weekend in Newark, New Jersey on Thursday. And I expect that I'll be doing a lot of networking there. Hi, Cody. Hi, Christine. So networking is important because you know who you're going to meet. Oh, and here we have Jon.
Hello. Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. I'm very honored to have you, and I'm delighted that you're here. Are you all right?
Oh, I'm good. All times I got in, got everything turned on, everything, had my radio playing on the speakers, and went to the restroom, come back, and there was no. I'm like, what the heck? And I started trying to figure it out. I couldn't do it. So I just came home.
Okay, good.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah, got Cody here, got Tim here. Look at that. Christina, got Melissa here. We've got a bunch of people.
Awesome.
So I would like to say thank you so much for coming on. You know that I treasure you, and that right from the very first time that you entered, right from the get-go, we connected.
Yeah.
And you have helped me by pushing me to making cold calls and looking at things in different ways. And I've grown a fair amount thanks to your kindness. So I appreciate that a lot. So for those of us in the audience who may not know you, could you please tell us a little bit about your background? Like, where did you grow up? What was life like? Tell me a little bit about you as a person.
Well, I'm born and raised in one of the most infamous towns in America, Stockton, California. And, we're known for a lot of things, but, I was born there, had two brothers. I'm the oldest. Mom and dad worked a lot, so I had a lot of responsibilities, taking care of the house and my brothers and all that kind of stuff. And, but when I was away from home, I was a rascal.
Why? How?
Well, the only time I really got to have fun was when I was away from the house. So I did have fun, put it that way.
Wow.
But,
well, yeah. With the reputation of Stockton, that's almost a little dangerous to say.
Well, it is, but if you know where to go, who to know, and all that kind of stuff. I stayed out of all the big trouble. I'll put it that way.
That's
And
good. That's
yeah, and
when
but
when you were in school, what would the teachers have said about you?
well, I think for the most part, everybody always got along with me. I got along with everybody. Um, in high school, I started to be. Uh, I got in a little bit of trouble because I stood up for people that were being bullied,
Oh,
and so that was, I still got in trouble for it, but I'd still probably do it today again if I had to. Just something about that just rubs me the wrong way, and I
hmm,
can't just stand there and watch it happen. So
got
and but I still got along with everybody. My teachers, for the most part, liked me. I wasn't great in school. I just hated being cooped up all the time. And so I was one of those people, I could take the tests and do great on the test, but I just would ignore the majority of the work.
okay.
I just wasn't into the sitting there and doing the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again.
I hear you. So it doesn't surprise me that you got along with everybody because you are very easygoing. And I've heard you on the phone and watched you in action, and you're very, very, very smooth, and you're non-threatening, and you're really, you know, all the things that we want to be. You're interested in the person you're talking to, so I can understand that.
Absolutely.
Well, when you were in high school, what were you doing when you weren't in school?
Working.
What were you doing?
So I in this like the sixth or seventh grade. We didn't have a lot of money, and so if I wanted something, I had to figure out a way to get it myself. So starting like sixth grade, I started mowing lawns. Seventh grade, I got a paper route, but then my dad got real sick, and they needed all the money from my paper route. So the only way I could have money was I had to learn how to have customer service, and my mom said I could keep all the tips. So it got to be where I was getting more in tips than I was making on the paper route. And so I did that for a couple of years, and just realized that, if you just treat people the way they want to be treated, not how you think they should be treated. And I'd ask them, just a simple, where do you want your paper? And I'd make sure that paper was right there every time. And so, and then I just always had a job from the time I was, seventh grade. I went into then the fast food and restaurants and dishwashing, and just always uh, wanted to hustle. Wanted to have
Yeah.
things in life. And wanted to live differently than my folks did. And and I've done everything from working in an upholstery shop to making chicken at a restaurant to, you know, I was a machinist, a well driller,
Wow.
you name it. I've been there, done that, and then actually the last one was machinist.
When you were drilling wells, what were you drilling for? Oil
We
or
were
water?
water, but we were doing it for contamination, so
Ah,
environmental drilling. And so the guys you see on the gas stations or at uh, uh, big warehouses and stuff, and they're drilling all over the place. We're looking for leaks and stuff like that.
interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And when did you first, tell us a little bit about your experience in real estate. When and how did you come to real estate?
So I bought my first house when I was like 21, 22. And
Wow.
yeah, well, had my own place since I was 18, my own apartment. And, I just started looking at how much money I was paying for rent. And I'm like, this isn't going anywhere. I might as well buy a house. So we looked into it. And next thing you know, we buy this house. And my wife, actually, we've been together the whole time. She turned 21 in the house. And yeah. And so after doing that, I got, I'm not trying to bash any realtors because I'm a realtor too, but so disheartening with the realtor that I was like, this is a little crazy. And you know, just some of the stuff they did that was less than ethical and stuff like that. And a few years later, I'm still a machinist, but I get carpal tunnel in both hands from
Oh
the
dear.
job. And couldn't work with my hands anymore. And, we just bought a house, just got married, just bought my wife a new car, blah, blah, blah. And so I was pretty freaked out. And I'm sitting at home with my hands bandaged up because I'm a knucklehead, like Pace says, and I did both hands at the same time. I couldn't handle sitting home for 3 months per hand. So I did it all at once.
Oh my God.
Well, there's a will, there's a way, right? But that's what led me to real estate, was sitting there. I kept seeing these infomercials back in the day. They called them infomercials. And the one that got my attention was Carlton Sheets.
Oh, yes. I remember good old Carlton.
Yep. And I kept watching it and watching it. And so finally one day, I'm stressing out because we got a lot of bills to pay, and I'm on workman's comp, and which is, you don't make anything from workman's comp. And so I kept watching this, and I'm like, I'm a firm believer.
You're freezing up on us just a little bit, so slow down.
Okay, so I said, I'm a firm believer that I can do anything you can do if you show me how. And so that's just the way I've always done everything. So I called them up, and I said, can you send me any additional information? And they sent me out a VHS, which for you young folks, that's way before CDs and DVDs and all that. But in it said 110% money back guarantee. And if you send it back within 30 days, you got 110% of your money. Well, trying to convince my wife to spend $300 when we were dead broke was a chore in itself. But finally she agreed. And within a week and a half of getting the program, I had a duplex in escrow, no money down.
Wow.
Getting $5,000 cash back at close of escrow. And it cash flowed about $600 a month. Now, this is back in the late 90s.
How did you find the deal?
On the MLS.
So you found the deal. How did you approach them? Just from using Carlton Sheets information?
Well, the thing that I liked about Carlton Sheets was he basically taught that there's no one way to do it. Right? If you really look at all these creative guys, I mean, Pace included, there's no one way to do it. And so what I did is I went and I found a lender who would give me a 75% first mortgage, but they didn't care where the other 25% came from. And this is known as, subprime, as we've all heard that term, company. And so I wrote asking the sellers to carry the other 25%.
Wow.
Pay my closing costs.
What did they say to you? I mean, was this like, oh, that sounds like a good idea, I can do that? Or was it like, what the heck?
Well, so we would write about 10 offers a week.
Oh.
And so about every other week, maybe 2-3 weeks, we'd get a yes. We wouldn't hear from the others, but we'd get a yes. Sometimes they'd counter us and stuff like that. But that's about the average, was about one yes every 2 to 3 weeks. And then I'd go check them out after that. Because, it's just like
You'd
with
make
this.
The offer before you'd seen the house.
Yep. Because does it matter what the house is like, if the seller's not going to play game with you? No, it doesn't matter. So that's how I've always approached it, is like, I'm trying to find the right seller, not the right property. And so.
But weren't you worried that you were going to get a place that was going to just suck your money dry?
No, because I analyzed it. I get all the numbers from them before, during the escrow period, and I'd analyze it. If it didn't work, I'd cancel the deal. It worked, but I also was only putting offers on properties that I knew the rent would cover the mortgage.
Interesting.
So, that was one of the things I did, that 1% rule that I don't know if you've heard of that or not. So I didn't make an offer unless there's at least 1%. So in other words, the rents were 1% of the asking price.
So that $300 was a great investment.
Oh yeah. Well, I wound up buying 25 within about 12 to 18 months.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have letters from Carlton to be in his commercials, but I'm more of a behind the scenes, just get stuff done kind of person. So. Yeah.
Wow. That must
But it
have
was,
been a wonderful transition into real estate. Good for you.
yeah, it definitely was. And that's how, if you, doing all that, I had to deal with a lot of realtors. And I got so upset dealing with all these realtors that really didn't care. I mean, I even had a realtor come to my, uh, the closing table and try to talk me out of buying it so he could have it.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that is
so,
not cool.
so I decided that, I'm going to go ahead and get my license because I was so frustrated with the realtors. Well, in retrospect, I don't like to say I regret anything, but I kind of wish I hadn't, or would have stayed focused. But I was in my early 20s, mid, and it literally getting my real estate license. I'm very competitive. So wherever I worked as an agent, I had to be the best agent there, and do the most deals, or all that kind of stuff. And I've won a lot of awards and all the accolades and what have you. Um, but just kept investing and focused there.
Got it. Got it. Interesting. So once you got your license, did it make it easier or not?
Well, at the brokerage I was at the time, my broker would not allow me to write an offer unless it had those statements in there, which I've learned how to make them a little better now. One was uh, the seller is aware that the buyer is a licensed real estate professional. And number two was the seller is aware that the buyer is buying the property for the sole purpose of making a profit. And that would kill deals.
Of course.
So, because their first question is, well, what kind of profit are you going to make? So now I've changed it to, I'm buying the property for the sole purpose of investment, which means the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't get those questions anymore.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The way you say something, right?
yep.
Yeah.
And so then, literally about a year ago, almost exactly, me and my son were watching Triple Digit Flip one weekend. And so he's 18 at the time, just graduated high school, and he says, we watched one episode, and then he pulls it up, and we binged watched the whole season that day. And I couldn't believe somebody was making that much money on their flips. And so at the end of once we were done, my son looks at me and goes, "Don't you know how to do all this kind of stuff?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, I want to do this. We're going to do this together. This is what I want to do for a career." Now I'm in Subto.
There you go. There you go. So did you and your son join up as one partnership?
Yeah.
Good. Good. It's funny because I hadn't seen the triple digit flip at all in Canada, and when I don't know if they have it. I don't have a TV. I haven't had a TV in like almost 20 years.
Wow.
Ahead of the curve. I was always using the internet.
There you go.
Then when I was with my daughter, I said, "Hey, you know what? You guys have cable and everything. Let me search this." So I searched it, and I said, "Oh, I have to watch an episode." It was interesting. It was cute and funny to see
It
Jamaica
was, yeah.
in front of the camera, knowing them, right? So I thought it was kind of interesting and funny. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But I said, "Okay, I'm going to start watching some of these," and they're like, "No, you're not." I'm like, "Okay, I'm not. It's your TV," and that's okay. I don't need to because I feel like I'm living the triple digit flip, so to speak. With Ace, he talks about every deal that's really good, so I'm learning a lot. So that's cool. So now you guys got in Subto. Is that when you started flipping?
So I've done, the last crash that happened back in, I believe it actually started here in 06 and 07. I had clients that were flippers. I did a lot with investors as a realtor, and either buy and hold investors or flippers. I had a lot of clients that did that. Well, when that market crashed, everybody just kind of disappeared, but yet I was still finding deals. And so finally one day I decided just to throw my hat in the ring and I'm embarrassed to tell you the prices I bought some of these properties at, but you
Why?
know, I,
High or low?
well, low, yeah. I bought, one of the first ones we did was a little house we bought for 60,000. We put about 30 in it and sold it for 170.
Wow,
Yep.
nice.
And then, we bought another one that was had a fire damage, and we bought it for 19,000. We put 60 in it and sold it for 180. And
Wow.
then, yeah, and then I bought a duplex. I was gonna keep this one, but we bought a duplex for 22,000, and
What kind of duplex can you buy for 22,000?
it was built. It was an old Victorian era, actually Craftsman era home,
Oh,
and but it was originally built as a duplex. And one side was one bedroom, the other side was a studio, and we put 30 in it. And I wasn't trying to sell it, but once we fixed, their brother was beating down my door, my phone, I should say, trying to get me to sell it to him. And finally, I agreed to sell it for 200,000.
wow.
So
It's interesting because we hear those numbers, and as investors, I think we think cha-ching, because it's a big payday.
right,
Um, but the other reality is that you took a place that had been burnt down, must have been a pretty big eyesore, and you made it into something nice that
yeah,
people want to live in. You
right,
know, that that is such a service to the neighborhood, to everyone who walks by every single day, the whole thing. So,
yeah,
you know, and a lot of people won't take that kind of work on, or don't have the vision, or don't have the money, or don't
right,
have the experience, all those things. So I think it is it is great and encouraging to know that you made those kind of profits, but I think that at the same time, they're well deserved.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, what's really fun was just about every project I've been on, people all will walk by as we're standing outside talking or whatever, and they thank us for making the neighborhood better. And I think, I call that like a karma paycheck. And I love it. I mean, it's like I've been involved in probably 15 to 20 flips now, whether they're mine or I'm project managing them for my flippers. Um, and it's so fulfilling when they come by and they just, especially as you get almost near done and they can see what it's supposed to look like. It's a lot of fun.
Good,
Yeah.
good. And now Pace has been saying, I guess almost since you've joined, that be careful with the flipping, because the market's going down, people are losing money, and we have seen lenders getting into trouble when they lend on some of these flips, and they end up not having the value that the flippers thought they would. So who loses? The lenders. So out of curiosity, did that stop you, or how did you deal with that?
So I come from the belief of, you really have to know your market. And that's why, I've stayed in my area. I've not gone out of my area. I've been doing real estate in one form or another, either investing or as a broker, for now almost 25 years. So I've sold properties, and single family, multifamily, all over, my county, and I know the area very well. I also know how to track the market. So, if the market's heading down, you just have to, if the market's going down like this and it's going to take you a few months, you just got to figure out, okay, well, you're going to be down here when it's time to sell. And you have to understand how to do that. And so we've always made money on every project.
Really?
And yeah, we've never ever lost money.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Throw
And
some fire in the chat, guys. Okay, I
yeah,
think that's what I'm supposed to say, but I'm not sure. Show your appreciation to
yeah,
John, never having lost money on a flip. That's
never. Even the ones I project manage for other flippers. So I've kind of got a cool thing now where I find a property and I wholesale it to one of my flippers, but they have to let me list it when they're done with it. Right. And so I get to get paid up front and I get paid in the end, but I help them project manage and do design work in the middle. And I really enjoy the design work a lot. I just really enjoy it. And but it's what's crazy. I'll give you an example. I had a house, what I call my rock star house. I think I talked to you about it a couple times.
And
So
I
this
wanted to
was,
ask about one of those, so
yeah,
definitely tell us.
yeah. So that was, it was owned by the drummer for the band America. And for those of you that don't know who that is, if you ever heard that song, Going Through a Desert on a Horse with No Name, that is the band America. And so he had passed away, and his family contacted me because they were friends with a friend of mine. And I picked the house up under contract for 180. I tried to get several people to go in with me to flip it because I knew I'd sell it for about 330 or better, and it only needed about $30,000 to $40,000 worth of work. Well, I couldn't get anybody to come in with me. And so finally, I sold it to my flipper for 220.
Okay, so you still did pretty good.
I did pretty good.
Hmm.
He fixed it up. Took him 30,000 to fix it, and we sold it for 345.
Wow, nice,
So
very
and now we're on two more since then. We got one that's actually in escrow that I locked up for 290. He put about 50 in for 85.
I'm sorry, you cut out. He put, you got it under contract for 290, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And
And I sold it to him. Yeah, 290. I sold it to him for 310, and then he put 50 in it, and we're in escrow right now at 485.
he must love you.
He buys property from me without even seeing it. So it
Wow.
works out pretty good. And actually, Tim's actually seen this at this particular house. So
Tim Murphy? The
yeah, Tim
fellow?
Murphy's seen it. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Tim,
Yeah.
what did you think of the house? Tell us what you thought of the house in the comments. Was it, you know, a case of them selling it for too much and somebody was an idiot, or was it really a great house? Tim's like, oh, he's saying, boom. All right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And then I got another one locked up with a great person from Subto. I've done quite a few deals with Ty Leon Guerrero, or TYLG as we call him. And we have one that he was having a little bit of issue with, and he asked me to step in, and he was at about 300 on the purchase price, and I got the guy down to 265.
Wow.
And we locked it up, and I flipped that to my flipper as well. And then I was done with it. That'll be going on the market in about a week and a half. So
what are you going to price it at?
that's going to be about 450. We got it locked up at 265. Sold it to my flipper for 295, and he put about I think 35. He's in right now, 35 to 40.
Oh,
And we're going to go out about 450.
okay. So, John,
Yes.
you need to bring some of those to me. I have not been selling anybody, but this is the first time where I'm like, I think I can come up with 35K. Now, is that flipper one person, one company?
Yeah, one guy.
Yeah, chances are though that if you sold it to me, he probably wouldn't do it for 35, right? He'd probably do it for like 90 or something like that.
Well, no, I have the contractor contacts. So actually, the reason I started being his project manager is because he's a liquor store owner and works from 9 in the morning till 10 at night. So he can't go out and do anything. So I started project managing for him as a way for me to guarantee the listing on the end. But I love the design work and the project management and all that. Excuse me. And I make him a ton of money. His average house, he makes $80,000 to $90,000 on it.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep. And so it'd be nice if we're doing it for myself, but at the same time, I'm not doing too bad. I've completely, since I've been in Subto 1 year now, replaced my realtor income with the income from doing these wholesales and managing these flips and stuff like that.
Very nice.
So
Tim is pointing something out that's interesting. He
yeah.
says he had two crews, one working cheap on demo and rough builds, and then a different crew doing the finish work. When he's saying he, is he talking about the flipper?
So yeah. So me and the flipper are, I help him find people, and I mean, because I'm going to use them too when I get my own, right? And so yeah, we are really cheap. They do all the demo and the basic rough builds, and then we have another crew that comes in and does the kitchens and bathrooms and stuff like that.
And
We did.
I'm supposed to drill you, so I guess I better. Jon, tell me about your contractors.
So people don't believe me, but I should have got some pictures somehow. The kitchens and bathrooms alone, like this house was 1,700 square feet, and we took a horseshoe kitchen and just blew it up huge, and took a lot of design elements from Triple Digit Flip, and which I love how they put the fridge and put cabinets all the way around the fridge, and so we make sure we do that. But anyways, I'm talking quartz countertops, brand new plantation type cabinets, white cabinets, waterfall edges on the countertops.
Nice.
And just the whole 9 yards. And these guys do for the kitchen and the 2 bathrooms, $15,000.
What? Wait, isn't this in Stockton, California?
Yep.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing.
So, and the other guys, so that house took us, both crews were about $15,000. And so they came to like 30,000.
There's a question for you.
Yeah. So to answer that question, so I drive for deals,
So
right?
in case anybody's not in front of their computer, because sometimes they skedaddle, they have to do whatever, and they're just listening. So the question is, hey, Jon, how do you find different crews with different skill sets?
So one of the things is I drive for deals. And when I drive for deals, a lot of times I'm driving on the weekends and stuff like that. And when I'm driving, if I see a crew working on a house and the house appears to be empty, it's probably a flip type contractor. So I stop and get out of the car, and if I have bottled water with me, I bring them some bottled water, and I just, are you the owner? Are you the contractor?
You froze on me. Oh. You said you take them water, and you just what?
And just start talking to them.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yep. And will you be surprised what they're doing? And you get a chance to look at their quality of work while you're there.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
So then you kind of get to know, whether you want to ask them to work for you or not.
Exactly.
Not very good. You say, I just, gave them some water, and that's a nice thing to do as a human.
Yeah.
Next,
yep.
If you like what you see, you start talking with them more and get a hold of their GC, or what do you do? Or talk to them and get them directly?
Yeah, I get a phone number for whoever's in charge. I get their phone number. And sometimes they're just painters, which is fine. Sometimes they're, very specific crews, like drywall crew or cabinet crew. But a lot of times they're guys that are doing everything. And those guys that are doing everything, if they do good quality, and I'll tell you one of the biggest ways to tell if they do quality or not, if they keep their messes picked up. If they keep their messes picked up, they usually are pretty thorough and meticulous about everything. The guys that let stuff just pile up and pile up and pile up, and then they're going to take it to a dumps in a couple weeks, they just don't have the type of work ethic that we're looking for.
Yeah, I've heard that if you want to know how good a worker is, or a general contractor, or any of that, just look inside their truck.
Yep.
See how the truck, is it a mess or is it super neat? Because if it's super neat, then that's how they're going to be with you. So that is interesting.
And the other thing, I'll tell you how we keep our costs so low. We don't go to Home Depot. We don't go to Lowe's. We go to places that like the contractors know about that don't want to tell you about. So like, here in my area, there's a
Yeah.
store called Contractors Warehouse. And I'm not kidding you. You've seen those faucets for kitchen sinks that are like a big, they go over like this, and they have the spring on them, and
Mhm.
all that. Home Depot price was $305. Contractor's Warehouse price was $154.
Wow.
And it's like that for everything. So the prices are usually 30 to 50% cheaper by going to where the contractors get it. We don't get granite from Home Depot or Lowe's. We go directly to the little mom and pop shops that sell granite only.
Interesting.
Yep.
So their customers are contractors. Do you have to be a contractor to go shop there?
I'm sorry, I cut out there.
They are selling to contractors. Can I walk in, and on my first flip or something like that, and will they sell to me, or do they only sell to contractors?
So you'll have to do like a membership and sign up with them. But if you're acting as the general for your own project, which if you're the owner, you technically are. That's what we do. My owner signed up over there. And then he sends the GC to pick everything up.
That's cool. I didn't
Yeah.
know there even were places like that.
Yep. And like Melissa says here, the Home Depot clearance stores also are a good place. And also one that a lot of people don't know of they shut down here, but you've heard of Habitat for Humanity?
Yes.
So they have stores. And the stores are where big development companies that are building like subdivisions, when they have too much supply, they
Mhm.
bought too much or whatever, they
Yeah.
they donate it to them as a write-off.
Oh, that's nice.
And so you can get, sinks, tubs. I bought one time, I went in there and they had air conditioning units, the condenser. They were selling them for $100 per ton. So, you have like 2-ton or 3-ton air conditioner.
Mhm.
It's brand new, still in the box with the warranty.
Wow.
They had 6 of them, so I bought all of them.
That's great. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that Habitat for Humanity sells some of the stuff they don't use.
Yep.
That makes sense. They need to come up with some of the money, and if it's been donated to them, they can afford to let it go at a less expensive price.
Yeah.
That,
The
that's
only problem with them is they don't always have the same inventory. So, you might go back a few months from now and they won't have something you like, but then you go back again and they will. So I just try to make it a practice of stopping by like once a month and seeing what they had going there.
okay. So it's a little bit like an antique store or a thrift store. You got to go in and catch it while you can.
Yep.
Do you know about Restore?
I've not heard of Restore.
Okay, Melissa, can you drop in the chat there? What is it? I mean, I like the name. It's a
Yeah.
little bit like what the effie, it's got
Yeah.
some value to it. But what is it? Because I see that Christine says that's a good one. Give us a little more info there, guys. What is a restore? I like that. I like the way that it's in one name there. Oh, Melissa must be at work. I know Melissa personally, and I adore her. And okay, so she says,
Oh, cool.
that is the Habitat store in the Midwest, at least. Oh, okay.
Very cool.
Good to know. Good to know. So you're really good at watching and keeping the costs down. You got the labor where you're paying for the quality, but when it's just brute force, you're giving them less. And with the design concepts all coming in and such, you can keep that down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No wonder you were not afraid of flips.
Yeah.
I was like, we're supposed
it's you got to approach it like you do everything, right? You got to do your research. You got to do your homework. You got to, and if you do all that stuff ahead of nothing to be afraid of, I mean, you just want to make sure that you're buying right, and that when you do your budgeting and you're analyzing, that if it's a downward trajectory market, you just have to meet that market where it's going to be and not be afraid to do that.
Right. Well, you've been making some pretty nice profits on the flips you've been doing.
Yeah,
Now, John, ever since you've come in, like I said, I've adored you and we really have a nice relationship. I really like you a lot. And
I love you.
thank you. It goes both ways. But I want you to talk about other people because I understand you've been helping some folks. We all help. We're supposed to help. We're supposed to be
Mhm.
givers. But talk to me about what you've been doing with the community.
Well, one of the things I did is, as to me, there's several people here that, just really special to me. Um, Christine and Tim and Cody and Eddie uh, are all really close to me. And I met them all at either meetups virtually or in person. And I could tell they needed some extra help. And, but it wasn't like, oh, you need to go watch this video or do this. It was more, because I believe there's a mind shift that people have to go through when they go from a W-2 to a 1099, right? And having that mind shift is not always easy. And I give a great example when I first started, coaching these guys on self accountability for entrepreneurship. Um, I'd asked them all to get me a letter, and without a doubt, all of them, I think, said, "When do I want it?" And I said, "Well, I'm not your boss. You're an entrepreneur. When should you get it done?" And it was just little things like that that I think has helped them tremendously. I mean, none of them are the same person. Cody, totally different person today. Tim, just since I've been working with Tim, I mean, he's on his third or fourth deal now.
Wow.
And, and Eddie is just phenomenal at, cold calling, getting leads and stuff like that. And Christine, she was a little apprehensive about buying property. She's a buyer. And so if there's any wholesalers in here that are in Missouri, she is a buyer and wants to buy in Missouri. And she's actually gone out and been making several offers a week, through the coaching and accountability group we've set up. And then on top of that, we have a few of the people that we do role plays with that are callers. And I get on the phone, and any objection they've had or situation they've had I teach them how to overcome it. And, because the whole time I was in real estate sales, I spent my entire career, you've heard about all the Ferries, I'm sure, or I've watched their videos. And so there's Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Matthew Ferry. I was in all their coaching as well. That's how I met Ty 20 plus years ago.
Wow.
Okay.
And
And so we were,
Ferry's mastermind is freaking intense.
oh, it is. Yeah. Matthew's intense
I guess. I guess.
in different ways. They're all intense in different ways. I don't know if you heard that or not. They're all intense in different ways. But P, when he was my coach. And then I went further and got certified, which NLP is neuro linguistic programming. And that's where I learned how to become a closer, but in a manner in which the people don't realize you're closing them. It's just the art of conversation.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How many years have you been practicing it?
20 plus years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you can ask like Tim and let's see if Eddie's in here or not, but they've not been able to stump me yet in several months of trying to stump me with a role play. And and then also we do things like, Ty's very much a giver, but he's also very limited in time. And he's got young kids at home and wants to spend time with them. And so I volunteered to help him, just to help him. When those people need his help, I go and I look at them first and look at the situation, whether it's just, a no, it's not a deal, or, give them advice on how to make it a deal. And have several people that were, I got one person we got in contract because I got on the phone with her seller. Another people that I've saved them from bad deals. And just, helping however I can help. I mean, you know me, and I'm pretty much an open book. You have a question, ask me, I'll tell you. And I'm easy on the phone. So people need to reach out, they can call, they can text, they can whatever. And I'm usually there. If I can't get right to them, I get back to them as soon as I can, but I do get back. And, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. There's no doubt about that. I think that, oh, I like that stump challenge. That's cute. Very nice. Yeah, I can understand that. And you're definitely a closer and have advantages. All right, that was my Facebook. Why is it still making a ding there? Okay, sorry. My son had told me turn off Facebook, which I did,
oh,
but it just went ding. Oh, there was one window open. My apologies. Thought I closed them all.
no
Uh,
problem. I didn't notice.
yeah, well, I've gotten very good at making sure my phone is off. I even try to talk to the cat. Where'd she go? To make sure that he sleeps.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Go to sleep now.
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much. Yeah,
Very cool.
amazing. So I've thought that you're an incredible value to Subto. And, I know you're in Northern California, but I've not been in well, I have lived in Northern California, but that hasn't stopped us from connecting.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's why I have you here, more people need to know, about how giving you are and how what great experience you've got. I mean,
Yeah.
just hearing what you have just stated is just pretty impressive.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to start in a fix and flip?
First of all, they should make sure they watch all the Avatar series and make sure that's the right thing for them. I tell everybody that, right, Christine?
Me too. I tell everybody that. That's your first piece of homework. Come back in a minute.
Yeah. But I think the most important thing is they need to do a lot of homework around the area, and they need to see people are getting their materials, who's the right contractors to use in the area, before you ever look at a property, and really do that homework, because once you get the property, money and time start ticking. So if you do all your homework ahead of time, it makes the process so much easier. I mean, we have, like, when we do a project now, we go and take we get a U-Haul truck and go to the contractor's warehouse and buy as much as we can fit in that U-Haul truck and take it back, instead of trying to figure out where the best prices are going to be, right? And so it's just little things like that, and then trying to find the best places to get the cabinets or the granite countertops, or finding places like the Restore, or the Habitat for Humanity store that they had called out here. Ours shut down, but I'm sure there's other places. And if you do that homework first, it'll take away a lot of the fear. I mean, there's always going to be a certain amount of healthy fear, and you should have healthy fear. But if you know your numbers and you've done your research, it should take away most of the fear. And I flipped during the worst market in modern history and was not afraid. So when I saw this happening, this is really a hiccup. This isn't this isn't the Depression. It's not the Great Recession. We're just having a hiccup right now. And so there's no reason. And when you buy here's the biggest piece of advice: buy under the median. Don't buy over the median. If you follow Ty et al., he preaches this all the time to people. Don't get into contracts over median price, because that market is the slow market. The ones that are selling are things that are under median. I mean, I just put an offer for a client of mine on a house the other day on Friday. They have 12 offers.
Wow.
Because of the price range. It's like 340. So that, under median price range is where, you really want to focus on trying to find the properties, and you'll be successful. But if you go looking at these big ones, I have a person that calls me a lot and wants me to analyze properties for her, which I do happily. But they're like, one of them the other day was, $2.8 million. And I said, well, what's the median? She said 1 million. And I'm like, come on, we're $2 million above median. You don't think that's considered luxury, which that market's not moving right now?
Yeah,
I mean, you can't do that. People don't want to pay 7% interest on a $3 million home.
exactly. Exactly.
So,
Yeah. What about properties that have no equity in them? Do you care about that?
no, I don't care about it. I mean, I've done Subto deals, I've done hybrids, I've done seller financing, I think the only thing I haven't done is novation. But, um, you know, if the numbers work, the numbers work. I mean, one of the very first wholesale deals I did, uh, the seller got $6,000, and we just took over the mortgage.
Yeah.
So and then wholesaled that to a flipper. And so it's all the same stuff. You just got to know your numbers, and like you hear people talk about when you're negotiating. I try to shoot for 60% of the ARV for the number I'm looking for.
Wow. Really?
Yep, of the ARV. So yeah.
Oh, it seems to me like you're getting, those numbers you've been quoting are pretty high. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
So,
good.
and you don't, if you go over 70% of the ARV, now it depends on if it's, again, if it's a high equity deal, then the house has to be immaculate, right? It has to be in great condition. You don't want to you're not going to put $50,000 into a house that's market value unless you're doing something like a sober living or, something along those lines, which makes a big difference. But just for flipping, I wouldn't, touch something unless it was like absolutely immaculate.
So we have been talking a fair amount about flipping, which I think is awesome. But aside from flipping, what other things have your interest or would you recommend?
Um, I love I know Airbnb is getting a little bit played out, but the Airbnbs,
They just killed it in Dallas.
did they really? Yeah, I thought it was going to happen because everybody and their brother, I mean, is opening up an Airbnb, and there's, sooner or later the hotels are going to fight back.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I apologize. I didn't mean to cut
no,
you
no
off.
problem. I'm looking at a deal right now. Eddie Reyes is on here. He found the deal. Me, him, and Ty are looking at it, and it's a duplex that the lady set up a midterm rental, and it's a doctor company that places doctors in it. It's in an area where the rents are average 1,800 a month, and she's renting it out for
For how much?
3,500 a month
Oh,
for
nice.
one unit.
Yeah.
And so they live in the other side, and we're trying to figure out a way to buy them out and take it all over. So, I think that I love those types of things. I love the pad split idea. I think it's phenomenal, especially with, my heart goes out to people that are struggling and depending on what they're struggling for. And I had family members that have been in sober living facilities. I have people that I went to high school with. They're living in tents underneath the bridge, and I think that trying to create housing like pad split or sober living facilities and things of that nature, if it's in your, what you want to do, I don't
Hmm.
recommend it for everybody because it's a lot of work, but I think they can be great. You can help people and make money at the same time, and so I like those things. And I used to work for Marcus and Millichap. I was an apartment complex specialist.
Really?
Yeah, for several years, and
Buying for them or what were you doing for them?
I was a listing agent for the big apartment complexes.
Cool.
And so, like the biggest one I ever uh, listed was a 178 unit complex here in Stockton, and sold a bunch in the 60s range and 80s range. But I just didn't like the clientele. I liked it better working with mom and pop people who want to buy a house, and they just have more appreciation and emotion in buying their first home or new home or whatever, and just made me feel better.
Yeah, I hear you. Not, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It's just a better audience, a better
Yeah.
person to deal with for sure. So I'm going to ask you this question that is asked quite often, but if you could go back to the start of your career in real estate and give yourself one piece of advice, what would you say to your younger self?
Don't sell the properties and don't get the realtor license. Stay
You
focused.
feel that strongly about the real estate license, huh?
Because realtors they're thrown so many things that get their attention from, it's one of the biggest money making industries for people that invent new widgets, whatever the widget may be. And you get all these realtors running around going squirrel, 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 right? But it's the whole thing. And I would keep all the properties I had. And then also I would just stay focused on the investing.
Okay, that's interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, definitely have to think on that one. Um, keeping all the properties you have. Yes, I like that. However, it's not always all that easy, though, too, right?
Right. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But I do understand. I intend to keep a lot of what I end up buying. I want to be a buyer and buy and hold and, you know, keep them for a long time. I think that, that's what we did with my parents and it paid off. I mean, it's the only thing that's of any value. So, yeah, I like that myself.
Yeah.
Um, so for sure. And anyone have a last question for any um, chance? Is he?
Oh, there's no T in there. I
That's,
don't have a T in my name.
yeah. Oh, you don't. Yeah, yeah. Well, he's stumping it.
I know. I'm just playing. It don't matter.
Yeah.
I jokingly tell everybody, my name.
Well, that's like
So,
John. When I first met you, I kept writing it with an H, and he became to me John without an H. John
yep.
without an H. That's how I finally got it, that it was John without an H.
Yep.
know?
We
And
couldn't afford the H when I was little.
that's great, Nisha. I think that's funny. Yeah. It is interesting though that our spelling can be a little bit important, but at the
Oh
same
yeah.
time,
It
kind
doesn't matter.
of get over it sort of thing.
Yep.
It's not the end of the world unless somebody's doing it for on purpose.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Trust me, I've been called much worse.
yeah. So Scott asks us, "Hi John, what has been your experience regarding finding renters?"
I've never had a problem finding renters. I think that you need to treat renters just like I've had big companies before with a lot of agents and stuff that work for me. You got to rent slow and evict fast. Just like with hiring people, hire slow and fire fast. Take your time to find the right one. But I've never had, I've had to do a couple of evictions over the years, but nothing major. And but the way I talk to regular tenants, regular long-term tenants, is I tell them, look, I won't mess with you if you don't mess with me. I'm not rich. I'm doing this for my future. You help me take care of this property. I'll help take care of you. And I just treat them like that, and they usually have pretty good respect for that. And at the same time, I won't, ridiculously raise their rent. I'll do, a little bit a year, but nothing major. And then, when you, I'm sorry, I got distracted by the chat.
What was the chat saying?
John, what are your views on rent ready versus HGTV ready? I think it depends on what you're doing. HGTV ready is
What's
for
that?
flips. That's for flips. You want your flips to be nice enough that they could go on to HGTV.
Got it.
But rent ready, it depends on where you're renting and who you're renting to and what the situation is. Like some of these sober livings and things that I plan on getting into, I'm going to make them nice inside. As if I've always had the philosophy, I want to make them so nice that if the world came crashing down on me and I had to live in it, I'd be happy living there. So that's how I treat all the properties.
That's a good thing to go by.
Yeah.
A good thing to go by.
And if you can get it done at a good deal, why not?
Yeah. Especially, if that kind of gives you any flack, you're like, I'm sorry, but this is good enough for me to live in. If you're not happy, we can arrange for you to leave for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I really want to say thank you very, very, very much for coming, to you and to all our viewers. Thank you. You know what? I'm going to tell you point blank. When Abraham and Pace pushed me to do this, there were a few people, and Jon is one, that I thought, good, I'm going to get them on my podcast. So I am really glad that I have this platform for that too, because more people, Jon deserves to be known by more people, and more people deserve to know him. So
Thank you
with
very much.
that, I want to say thank you, everyone.
Real quick, wait.
Okay.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh,
Who you are today compared to when we first met a year ago.
that's true.
Unbelievable human being.
Thank you.
Love you to the moon and back. So, and I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Jon. Coming from you, it means a lot. So I want to say thank you, everyone. And now next week I probably am going to be doing my first pre-recorded event, because I'm going to be in New York with Abraham, not New York, I apologize, Newark. And the Monday, I'm going to be flying, but at the same time, there's this event that is going on that he wants me to participate in. And I have said I will. So I don't think that I'm going to be able to actually do a podcast. Instead, I'm going to be doing this thing. If I can share, can I share screen, Graham? How? Can I just, no? Hold on, guys. Okay, never mind. You'll find out soon enough. So next week may be pre-recorded, or you may see me climbing up some crazy, crazy space. But for now, I'd like to say thank you, everyone. We are saying goodbye with our outro.